Hey, what's going on, everyone? New World Order Survival Guy. Today, topic, very important topic. Can't stress enough how much of importance this topic is. The topic everyone forgets about, doesn't think of. It's a topic that everyone does, or mostly everyone. Nobody takes it in consideration. I don't hear anybody, any other prepper channel, survival channel, anyone talking about this subject. This is a serious show about serious things with the subject. This is for educational purposes. So let's get into it. Shit hits the fan, sex. People will have sex for different types of reasons. It could be stress, boredom. It could be casual. Who knows what kind of situation would arise, and people will just do it just for the hell of it, just because the world's in chaos. Nobody has jobs or anything else, so people just skirting around, especially if you live in an urban setting when shit hits the fan. But most of all, your spouse, your loved one, your significant other. Now, the dangers of having sex. Now, this may not apply to everybody. Those of you that are older, the women specifically, or what I'm referring to, may have their reproductive parts removed or something like this. This doesn't apply to you as much, but some of the things that may later in this conversation. It will affect the youngsters, middle age, it'll affect most people. This has to do with. Now, this has to do with shit hits the fan, sex. Very important topic. Now, the thing is people are going to do it, but most are not going to think about the consequences that could arise. First and foremost, the babies. You have to have, especially if you are fertile, you've got to be extremely careful, ladies, because this is a very serious matter of having a child in a shit hits the fan situation. First of all, I'm kind of peeking at my notes here, so excuse me if I keep looking down. Raising a child in a shit hits the fan scenario is going to be way less than ideal. Many issues could arise. I understand people want to carry offspring and raise children, but let's just get into some things what will arise in that type of a situation. Is fine and dandy now because there's hospitals available, there's doctors, there's stores, drug stores where you can get medication and stuff like that. Raising a baby in a shit hits the fan scenario is gonna be very detrimental to your baby's health and to yours. Doctors and hospitals, and the shit hits the fan. I'm gonna just go ahead and say SHTF, so I don't get too many shits in my sentences. Doctors and hospitals may not be running because we're talking about SHTF. It's gonna get crazy. Hospitals gonna be shut down, or at best so overfilled when your water breaks, good luck getting in there. It's gonna be so overfilled, packed, that they're not gonna be able to accommodate you, more likely, chances are, in that type of a situation, if they are around. And if some of them that may be around might be governmental, institutionalized hospitals and doctors who you do not want to trust in the first place. Who knows in that type of situation what they're going to jab your child with and jab you with? You never know. But going by history, it's not looking too probable. Okay, so we're going to get into food and breastfeeding. Now, SHTF, stores are going to be ransacked. They're going to be looted. They're going to be gone through. You ain't going to find nothing after the first couple days, whatever. What are you going to feed your child? The ideal is to breastfeed your child. But you got to think, not all babies take that breast milk from the mother. Some mothers can't produce milk for those babies, and they don't know until it happens. And so, like in society today, they go and resort to formula. Well, you ain't gonna have formula, and if the baby ain't taken to your breast and breastfeeding time, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? Some babies are lactose intolerant, so they're not going to be able to take milk from animals or their mother. It's always a possibility, and it happens frequently. It's not some extreme rare thing. It absolutely happens frequently. Food. SHTF. You go out and forage for food. You go out and kill animals, whatever you need to get your food. Your baby can't take that. What are you going to do? It's an extremely dire situation at that point. That's a big reason to be careful while having sex and accidentally or naively having a child at the wrong place at the wrong time. Clean water. Where are you going to get clean water? We as adults can take water, little more harshly little less filtered and purified than a baby can. The baby's young, fresh, very susceptible to any kind of pathogens and bacteria and stuff like that. The baby hasn't quite built up its immune system at that point. All sorts of bad news could arise out of that. Including bathing. You want clean water for the baby for bathing. For the same reasons, just on the exterior part instead of the internal. Crying. Babies cry. Some get colicky. So it's like they cry a lot. It's going to attract attention. It's going to take your dedication to nourish that baby so it doesn't feel neglected and all of that. I mean, it needs its parent. But if you're in a survival situation, that's going to be a terrible situation to be in. But you have no choice. So think about the crying. Think about the attention that it's going to get from other people, from animals, whatever. I mean, a lot of animals, predators, they see crying and whining and stuff as prey. So if you're in that type of environment, where you're out in the wilderness or something like that, that's another thing you got to be careful of. Government taking your kids. If they have posts set up sporadically, which they will, in any of the agencies, FEMA, Red Cross, just military outposts and whatever, they're going to be sweeping, and for any reason you need help, they may take your child. So that's always a possibility. It's a very strong possibility. You don't trust them, people. You don't trust the government, especially in those type of situations. Those famous words, we're the government and we're here to help. There's a very well-known bullshit statement that is obvious, complete opposite. Clothes for the baby. Where are you going to get clothes? As it grows, well, because we're talking about having a baby in the survival situation. The clothes, as it grows, you ain't going to have nothing because you'd even expect to have a baby. The shoes, the socks, the sweaters, things like that. Is it going to be worth all that? Moving on, medicines. Your baby gets sick, something. Say it gets pneumonia. You're not going to have a doctor's to go to. You're not going to have a pediatric physician to go to find out what's wrong with your baby. Hypothermia when it's cold. Babies are very susceptible to hypothermia, as well as pneumonia, and as well as the heat stroke. They're very susceptible to all them things and a whole lot more. You could kind of wing it for yourself sometimes, but a baby is not. You gotta be thinking about all this before you go to bed that night. Birth complications, the sanitary things in itself is harsh. Cutting the umbilical cord. What if, you don't know if, I know, cords wrapped around the baby's neck or something, you can undo it, but you might need breathing apparatuses for the baby. Something. It could be anything for complications at birth. Not only to the baby, but to the mother. It happens all the time, every single day. So yeah, there's many things with baby birth complications. Diapers. What are you going to do for diapers? You think you can get a cloth and blah, blah, blah. You know what? I know they did stuff the way they did it in the old days, and, but a lot of them babies didn't make it in them days, too. You don't hear about that. What about diaper rash? What are you going to have for that baby for diaper rash? And you're going to need a lot of it through over the next 2-3 years. And hopefully, whatever you use, they're not going to be allergic to that too. Where it's going to cause furthermore complications for that baby. Teething, babies teeth, babies cry. They're going to be restless. You have teething medicine for it. Some babies get gas on different things. Gas drops for the baby. You're not going to have access to none of that. So you're going to be dealing with a lot of stuff. Bugs, mosquitoes, flies, spiders, some places fleas, ticks. With all the Lyme disease and deer tick disease, whatever. Bad things could happen. That baby's going to be in misery. All because you want to do a little bump and grind that night. The elements. Hot and cold. I talked about the pneumonia and heat stroke. Babies are very susceptible to those things. Real easy. So you're going to be able to take care of that baby and take care of everything else you need to do in a survival situation? I don't think so. For one, you and I are not accustomed to doing and living like that. They did those in the old days and throughout the times, but they had somewhat of an established place, whether it was a hut or whatever, but they were more accustomed and they learned from their family, and they had a community back then to help with those kind of things. That's why it is important to have a survival community to help each other. The thing is, nowadays, people ain't really trustworthy like they were back in the old days. Moving on, predators. Animals, like I was talking about. They hear crying. They see injured food source. Easy prey. You don't want to be put in that predicament. I know you might have firearms and this and that, but man, you're not gonna. Chances are, good luck on a bear or something, a pack of wolves, even people, gangs. You see how many people with this child abductions and how they kidnap kids, and the White House knows about that. Oh, Pizzagate. They are people, there's cartels, there's everything out there. And if shit hits the fan in America, you damn be straight, they're coming inland full force. And who knows? You gotta be careful, man. Take precautions so this doesn't happen. I mean, I'd say, have a crate full of condoms and stuff like that, but I mean, that's not probable. And there's obviously expiration date on these condoms and stuff like that. They will deteriorate over time and stuff like that. And plus, you're not going to carry a big freaking army duffel bag full of condoms. But you have birth control that after you stop taking it, it's effective for a month. You get the shot, will last about 12 to 14 weeks, roughly 3 months. You get the IUDs, they can last up to 10 years now. I mean, none of them are 100%. They claim to be 99%, yada, yada, yada. That's, I mean, when at times, there could be health complications too when you leave it in for that long. Some of the stuff I read. So, I mean, it's something. Because you're not ready to have a child in an SHTF situation. The child's not ready for that. Neither are you. You already have a child and you go into a SHTF, well, then whatever. Then you incorporate that into your survival. You're already semi-prepared for that since you have a lot of items already. But once you acquire that child already in an SHTF, then you're going to be completely unprepared. You ain't going to have nothing ready for that child. And it's going to be a nightmare to raise a baby and have... The birth itself is going to be crazy. So, another thing with the casual, the STDs, the STIs, whatever you want to call it, that's going to be a real thing. Because someone's having casual with you, they've already had casual with every other Tom, Dick, and Harry. You got to be careful. And another thing is SHTF, people are going to be dirty. You're not going to take a nice shower with soap and shit every day. Or you're going to be nice and clean and interact with your partner and having clean sex, whatever. You're going to be dirty. And when a guy's dirty from sweat and all this shit and don't shower like that, he's gonna have sex with his lady, and she's gonna be susceptible to an infection, a urinary tract infection, or some sort of infection to the light. What is she gonna do for that? You can't just go and buy cranberry juice or whatever they say that helps with that. You ain't gonna have none of that. You ain't even gonna have clean water, chances are, most of you, to at least wash it. It's infection, infection, infection. You ain't gonna be able to get a hold of no antibiotics. Yes, you can find some natural antibiotic type plants, but have you been studying on that? Have you been looking up? Do you have books on that? Do you know what you're doing? I doubt it. Some of you may. I'm still learning. I have tons of books and I read on them and stuff like that, but I don't know a fraction of it, of everything that's in those books. I got so many books. I don't know when I can start reading, but I have them. They're not ebooks. They're actual books. I have them, so that's my biggest thing, is at least having them. So what are you going to do? You're going to use condoms? You're going to get some kind of contraceptive? You're going to practice abstinence? You're going to get... How are you going to accommodate yourself for the extended period of time? You're going to get a big roll of plastic Reynolds wrap? You know? You ready to do it? I mean, you got to think realistically, and this is, like I said before in the beginning of the show, this is a very important, serious topic. You know, I'm the type that, you know, would be heavily joking around about stuff like this, but no, this is serious. A survival community is very important to, if you are, having a child or not having a child doesn't matter. Having a survival community is very important, and I highly recommend it, as long as it's people that you can trust. So it's something to think about, man. It's something to think about. You can't just do like you do now and just make love to your old lady or have sex with your girlfriend or whatever. It's because you will be helped now, you know what I mean? Anything you need, whatever, you don't even have to have any money. You can have that child, and that child will be taken care of in today's society as is. And that type of situation, Shtf, you're not going to have that. It's a whole nother ball game there. So that's why I just want to bring up those certain points, man. It's very crucial because it'd be crazy to have a child in that scenario. I just want you guys to think about that, because you know you don't hear it, but it's something serious to think about. We all love children, but I mean, there's a time and place, and just like you shouldn't be raising a child if you're broke and can't afford to take care of it, you know, but people do, and they just rely on the government and taxpayers' money to fund and take care of their kids. But I mean, you're not going to even have that, and the shit hits the fan. So that's it. Educational topic, very serious. Just want everybody to think about that. So please like, share, and subscribe. New World Order Survival Guy. I'll have a lot more shows coming up. Yeah, I got a bunch of things I'm going to get into. I'm back on a regular basis. So, hope you tune in. Take a peek. See what I got to talk about. If you have any suggestions for any type of shows that you would like to see me do in the future, please drop them below in the comments. And I'll try to figure some stuff out for that. So, that's it. New World Order Survival Guy. Catch you on the next one.